Ready to make the compass blanket? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany Hansen with Hooked for Hope. Thank you so much for joining me today. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make the compass blanket. This blanket is definitely an intermediate level crochet pattern. If you are a beginner crocheter, you are more than welcome to join along. This pattern was created by Button Nose Crochet. The pattern was found on Ravelry. Give her lots of props. She made this pattern both with US terminology and UK terminology. I will have links to both of these patterns in the note section below. I will also include these links right here at the bottom of the page. If you'd like to pause the video, write that down, and then go print off those patterns. That way you can just follow along with me as I am showing you the instructions, the how-to when making this blanket. This blanket was a special request tutorial from one of my followers, and I'm so grateful that this was brought up because this was such a fun blanket to make. It is an 8-point star with a popcorn stitch that starts in the center and goes to each point. Very, very pretty, very, very cool concept. I'm so excited to get started. If at any point in this video you do like what you see, please push that thumbs up button. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. That way you don't miss any of my videos. I release a brand new video every single Friday covering a wide range of different types of crochet projects that you are not going to want to miss out on. All right, let's go ahead and dive right into which materials you're going to need to make this blanket. Okay, the materials that I used to make the compass blanket were 3 skeins of a size 3 weighted yarn, in particular Wrap Star by Lion brand, and I used that beautiful blue that was on my wall, was the color Kim. This yarn seems to be out of stock at the moment, but any size 3 lightweight or any size 4 worsted weight or Aran yarn would work great for this blanket. I wouldn't use anything bulky and I wouldn't use anything too thin because you don't want it to lose shape or lose form. The blanket that I used on my wall ended up being 1,311 yards of yarn, or 1,200 meters of yarn, or 300 grams of yarn. The blanket that I made measured 51 inches from point to point. So you could always expand this blanket as big as you want. Just keep growing this blanket or make it super small and just be something cute for a baby to lay on. That would definitely change how much yarn you would use. In that case, just keep adding a skein until you've met your desired width or length. I'm not really going to be able to tell you how many skeins you're going to need if you want a certain size blanket. That's just going to be you playing by adding a skein. All I can really tell you is what I used and what blanket size turned out for me. Okay, hopefully that helped. This yarn recommended a size H or 8 5mm crochet hook. So that's what I used, was an H8 5mm crochet hook. You are more than welcome to use whatever crochet hook your yarn skein recommends. That will work great. And a pair of scissors. That's all you need for this blanket. So let's go ahead and dive right into how to make it. All right, to begin, it says make a MR, which just stands for magic ring. Or alternatively, you could chain 4 and slip stitch into the first chain to form that circle, that ring. Okay, so I'm going to do the chain 4. If you'd like, you can make your magic ring right now. So making a slip knot, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that very first chain to form the ring. Okay, super tiny little thing. Row 1, we are now ready for row 1. It says chain 3. 1, 2, 3. That chain 3 stands for the first 2 are your first half double crochet and chain 1. Then it wants you to make a half double crochet inside that ring. Inside the ring. Tail, move out of the way. There we go. And chain 1. It wants you to repeat this 6 more times. So half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet, chain 1. Wants a grand total of 8 half double crochets and 8 chain 1s in this first row. Okay, so if this chain 3 counts as our first half double crochet and first chain 1, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Make sure you end with a chain 1, so half double crochet, chain 1. Then to close row 1, we're going to slip stitch in the second chain. So 1, 2, slip stitch to close. Great. Row 1's done. Ready for row 2. Row 2, it says slip stitch into the first chain 1 space. So if this is supposed to be a chain 1, then we're going to slip stitch into that hole. So if this is where our stitch is at right now, insert a crochet hook into that space right there, slip stitch, and then it says STPC. STPC stands for your starting popcorn stitch. If you look at the second page of the notes that you printed out, hopefully, it will say that your starting popcorn stitch, or your very first popcorn stitch, is going to be a chain 2 and then 4 double crochets. That chain 2 counts as your first double crochet for a grand total of 5 double crochets. So following along with me, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then put 4 double crochets in that same hole. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now to create the popcorn stitch, what I do is I like to pull this loop, make a large loop, remove my crochet hook, insert my crochet hook into the very first stitch right there, okay? Then take my crochet hook, insert it into the loop, pull my string so that there's a tension there, and then pull this loop through that first stitch, and that makes a popcorn. Okay, so that's our starting popcorn stitch. Then it says chain 2, 1, 2, and then it says PC, which is just popcorn. Popcorn in the next chain 1 space. Popcorn stitch is 5 double crochets, and then you do that close. So 5 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make your loop real big, remove your crochet hook. In this case, I'm going to go in the gap space right here before the first stitch. Put my crochet hook into that loop, tighten it so it's easier to control, and then pull that loop over, and I got my popcorn. Okay, then it says chain 2, 1, 2, and make another popcorn. You're going to make a popcorn in each chain 1 space all the way around. It says you're going to end with 8 popcorns and 8 chain 2s. Okay, so again, a popcorn is 5 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make a large loop, remove your hook, put your crochet hook in the space before the stitches, insert your crochet hook back into the loop, tighten it so it's easier to control, pull that loop through that space, and there's your popcorn. Chain 2, 1, 2, popcorn in the next chain 1 space. 5 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull your loop large, make a large loop, remove your crochet hook, insert your crochet hook into that chain 2 gap space, reinsert into the loop, tighten, pull loop through space, popcorn. Okay, 1, 2. Now it says that I need to end with 8 popcorn stitches and 8 chain 2. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have one more popcorn to make. Pull that through and chain 2, 1, 2. Great. Okay, and then you slip stitch into the top of that first popcorn stitch. So when we find that first popcorn stitch, just the top of it right there, slip stitch, and that closes off our row 2. For row 3, it says slip stitch into the chain 2 space. So we're going to find the chain 2 space and we are going to slip stitch into that. Great. And then it says STPC, which is just our starting popcorn stitch. So let's make our starting popcorn stitch, which is a chain 2. The first chain 2 counts as our first double crochet, and then 4 double crochets in the same space. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, make a large loop. Insert your crochet hook into the very first stitch, the top of the first stitch. Reinsert your crochet hook into the loop. Tighten the loop and pull that loop through that first stitch. Then it says chain 2, 1, 2, and then make another popcorn stitch in that same chain 2 space right there. So regular popcorn stitch is 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make a big loop. Insert your crochet hook into that chain 2 space before the first double crochet of that popcorn. Insert your crochet hook into that loop, tighten your loop, then pull the loop through the space for your second popcorn. Chain 2, 1, 2, go to your next chain 2 space. So in each chain 2 space, you're going to do popcorn, chain 2, popcorn, and then chain 2 to get to the next space. Then popcorn, chain 2, popcorn. You should end round 3 with 16 popcorns and 16 chain 2s. Okay? So we just chained 2 to get to the next space. Gonna popcorn. So 5 double crochets. Okay, remove crochet hook, insert crochet hook into the chain 2 space right before, insert back into the loop, pull loop through the space, chain 2, okay, popcorn stitch, great. So I just did popcorn, chain 2, popcorn, chain 2. Then in next chain 2 space, all right, close that popcorn, chain 2, and closing row 3 with a slip stitch to the top of that very first starting popcorn stitch. Just like that. Great. Okay, we have just closed row 3. For row 4, things get real interesting, guys. Okay, so it wants us to slip stitch into the next space, chain 2 space. So slip stitch into the next chain 2 space. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This chain 4 stands for your first double crochet and chain 1. Now it wants you to popcorn stitch into that same exact space. So popcorn is 5 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make a big loop, remove. Okay, insert your crochet hook in that chain 1 space. So remember, this chain 4 counts as 1 double crochet and a chain 1. So we want to insert our crochet hook right here. Enter back into the loop. Pull your yarn so it's tighter. Pull that loop through the space to make your popcorn. Chain 2, 1, 2. In that same exact space, we're going to make another popcorn. So 5 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make my loop real big. Move your crochet hook. Insert crochet hook into that chain 2 space. Reattach in the loop. Through. Great. Chain 1 and 1 double crochet in that same exact space. Whew. There's a lot going on in that same space. Okay, skip the next chain 2 space. In the following chain 2 space, you're going to double crochet. Chain 1, popcorn stitch. Insert your crochet hook between that first double crochet and your group of 5. There should be a chain 1 right there, and that's where you're going to insert your crochet hook. Put it through the loop that's already created, tighten the loop, pull that loop through that chain 1 space, chain 2, 1, 2, make another popcorn stitch in that same space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Insert the hook into that chain 2 space, into your loop, tighten your loop, pull through. Chain 1 and 1 double crochet to finish off that group. Okay, so here's the repeating pattern, guys. You're going to skip a chain 2, go to the next chain 2, double crochet, chain 1, popcorn, chain 2, popcorn, chain 1, double crochet, move on. Okay, so you're going to do all of those things into the same chain 2 space. Then you'll skip a chain 2 and do that same grouping in the next chain 2 space. You're going to repeat that pattern. You will do 16 popcorns at the end of row 4. There will be 16 popcorns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and there will be 16 double crochets. So this would be your first double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Just remember that the double crochets, there's going to be 1 double crochet on each side of your popcorns. So we just finished this grouping right here. Going to skip the next chain 2. In the following chain 2, we're going to double crochet, chain 1, popcorn stitch, insert your crochet hook in that chain 1 space right there, back into the loop, pull that loop through the chain 1 space, chain 2, make your next popcorn. Insert your crochet hook into the chain 2 space right there, pull through, chain 1 and double crochet. That's it. Skip next to chain 2 space, following chain 2 space, double crochet. To close row 4, you're going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain of the 4 starting chains. 1, 2, 3, slip stitch to close row 4. Fabulous, guys. Okay, so for row 5, it wants you to slip stitch into that first chain 1 space. So this would be technically your first chain 1 space. So we'll slip stitch right into it. Okay, chain 2, 1, 2. That chain 2 counts as your first double crochet. It wants you to make 1 more double crochet in that same space. Great. Chain 1, hop over that popcorn stitch to get to the chain 2 space. So in that chain 2 space, it wants us to make a popcorn, chain 2, popcorn in that same space. So popcorn, 2, 3, 4, 5. Insert your crochet hook in that chain 1 space. Insert your crochet hook into the loop. Pull through that space. Chain 2, 1, 2. And then 1 more popcorn. Okay. Insert your crochet hook into the chain 2 space. Pull through. Going to chain 1. Hop over this popcorn to the chain 1 space right next to it. Wants us to put 2 double crochets in that chain 1 space. 1, 2. Perfect. Okay, skip these next 2 stitches. So skip, skip, go to the next chain 1 space and put 2 double crochets. 1, 2, chain 1, hop over this popcorn to get to the chain 2 space. In that chain 2 space, we're going to make a popcorn, chain 2, popcorn. Popcorn. Insert a crochet hook into that chain 1 space. Pull through. Chain 2, 1, 2. Another popcorn. Insert your crochet hook into the chain 2 space, into the loop, pull a loop through the space. Great, we got our popcorn, chain 2 popcorn, chain 1. In the chain 1 space right here next to the popcorn, we're going to put 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Okay, skip this stitch, skip this stitch. In the chain 1 space, put 2 double crochets. Okay, and that is the repeating pattern for row 5, guys. So we're going to put 2 double crochets, chain 1 in the middle of these 2 popcorns in that chain 2 space. We're going to popcorn, chain 2 popcorn. Then we're going to chain 1 and then put 2 double crochets in this chain 1 space. Skip, skip. Go to the next chain 1 space and repeat. In between the 2 popcorns, gonna popcorn stitch, chain 2 popcorn stitch, 2, 3, 4, 5. In between the chain 1 space, chain 2, popcorn stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Insert your crochet hook in the chain 2 space, insert into the loop, pull the loop through the chain 2 space. Great. Chain 1, and then in the chain 1 space below, we're putting 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Okay, and we repeat, guys. All right, guys, I'm going to release you to try to do the rest of row 5 on your own. As a gauge, you will end row 5 with 16 popcorn stitches, 32 double crochets. Okay, so if you want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you'll have 16 popcorn stitches and you'll end with 32 double crochets. And there should be 2 double crochets in the beginning or in the front of your group of popcorns and 2 double crochets at the end of your group of popcorns. So go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and so on all the way around. Okay, try to follow that pattern and I will meet you at the very end of row 5. Skip 2, 2 double crochet in that chain 1 space, chain 1, popcorn, chain 2 popcorn, chain 1, and 2 double crochets in that chain 1 space. Okay, to end row 5, you're going to slip stitch into the second chain that we started row 5 with. So 1, 2, slip stitch in that second chain, and that closes row 5. Great, guys, it's turning out really beautiful. There's so many popcorn stitches. Okay, moving on to row 6. Row 6, we are going to slip stitch into the top of the next stitch. So find that double crochet, that first double crochet that we made, or the second stitch. Going to slip stitch into the top of that stitch, chain 2, 1, 2, and that chain 2 counts as your first double crochet. In the chain 1 space, you're going to put 2 double crochets. 1, 2, chain 1, find the chain 2 space. You're going to popcorn, chain 2, popcorn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 1 space, through, then chain 2 and popcorn. 3, 4. Great, so that was the popcorn, chain 2, popcorn. Going to chain 1. In that chain 1 space from before, we're going to put 2 double crochets. 1, 2. All right, in that very first double crochet, we're going to put 1 double crochet on top of that stitch. Great. Skip the next 2 stitches. So skip, skip, double crochet on top of this double crochet. In that chain 1 space, put 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Chain 1 to hop over that popcorn. In that chain 2 space, you're doing popcorn, chain 2, popcorn. Chain 2 and popcorn. All right, chain 1. In the chain 1 space from below, you're going to put 2 double crochets. Okay. In that first double crochet, you're going to put a double crochet right on top of that one. Skip the next 2 stitches. So skip, skip, double crochet on top of the next double crochet. And in that chain 1 space, you're going to put 2 double crochets. 1, 2. All right, and that is the new repeating pattern for row 6. So you'll see that there's this whole line of popcorn, chain 2 popcorns. On each side of your popcorns, you should have 3 double crochets. You got the 2 double crochets in that chain 1 spot and another double crochet. So 1, 2, 3 on this side and 1, 2, 3 on that side. And that is your pattern. You'll skip 2, 1, 2, and repeat. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue working this together. At the end of row 6, just to gauge, you should still end with 16 popcorn stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the way around, you should end with 16 popcorn stitches, and you should end with 48 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, ending with 48 double crochets. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Let's go ahead and do a few more of these together just to hopefully make sure that you have this pattern down before I let you go to finish row 6. Okay, so chain 1 to hop over that popcorn, popcorn, chain 2 popcorn, chain 1, putting 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space, 1, 2, putting 1 double crochet on top of the next double crochet stitch, skipping the next 2 stitches, then 1 double crochet in the next double crochet stitch. All right, to close off row 6, you just slip stitch into the second chain to start the row. Slip stitch, and that closes row 6. Great. So starting with row 7, you will really start to see the repeating pattern for this blanket. The first thing you're going to do for row 7 is slip stitch into the top of the next stitch. Okay, chain 2, 1, 2, that counts as your first double crochet. You're going to double crochet into the top of the next double crochet. You'll see the chain 1 space right here. You're going to put 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space. 1, 2. Great. And then you're right to those popcorn stitches that we know so well. So chain 1 to hop over that popcorn stitch. In that chain 2 space, you're going to popcorn, chain 2, popcorn. Okay, chain 1 to hop over that popcorn. In this chain 1 space, put 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Okay, so you'll see 3 double crochets from the row before. You're going to put 1 double crochet on the top of the first 2. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, and then these 2 stitches you're going to skip. So you're going to skip 1, skip 2, and then we'll put 1 double crochet on top of the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. In that chain 1 space, we're going to put 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Okay, chain 1 to hop over that popcorn stitch. In between, we're going to popcorn, chain 2, popcorn. Okay, chain 1 to hop over that popcorn stitch. In the chain 1 spot below, I'm going to put 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Okay, so then we see these 3 double crochets right here. We're going to put a double crochet on top of the first 2. So 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, skip the next 2 stitches. So skip 1, skip 2, put 1 double crochet on top of the next 2 stitches. And hopefully you'll start seeing the repeating pattern. Okay, in that chain 1 space right there, going to put 2 double crochets, 1, 2, chain 1, popcorn, chain 2, popcorn, chain 1, in that chain 1 space put 2 double crochets, 1, 2, and then you will see 3 double crochets right there. You're going to put 1 double crochet on top of the first 2 and then skip the next 2. So 1, 2, then skip 2, 1, 2, and repeat. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you the pattern. So the pattern is, you'll see 3. You're going to skip the first one, double crochet on the top of the next 2. In that chain 1 space, you're going to put 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then in the chain 2 space, you're going to popcorn, chain 2, popcorn, then chain 1, then put 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space, and then 1 double crochet on top of the first 2 double crochets and skip the next one. Each row you will have 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets before the popcorn, and then it's going to go popcorn, chain 2, popcorn, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then skip 2. You're always going to skip the 2 stitches in the middle, okay? Those are always going to get skipped, okay? You should end row 7 with 16 popcorn stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you will have a total of 64 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and so on. There will be 4 double crochets leading up to your popcorns and then 4 double crochets following your popcorns. Okay, hopefully that helps. I'll just silently continue on. One, 2, chain 1 space. To end row 7, you're just going to slip stitch in the top of that second chain. Slip stitch. Beautiful. Okay. On to row 8. You're going to slip stitch in the top of the next stitch. So the following stitch, slip stitch, chain 2, 1, 2, and that counts as your first double crochet. You're going to double crochet into the next 2 double crochets. So 1, 2. We've reached that chain 1 space. We're going to put 2 double crochets in that chain 1 space. 1, 2. Chain 1 to hop over that popcorn. In between, we're going to popcorn, chain 2, popcorn. Okay, chain 1 to hop over that popcorn. In that chain 1 space, we're going to put 2 double crochets. 1, 2. All right, so now you're going to see 4 double crochets. 4. We're going to put 1 double crochet on top of the first 3. 1, 2, 3, and then skip 2. 1, 2, and then 1 double crochet on top of the next 3. 1, 2, 3. You're always going to skip the middle 2 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Great, we've reached the chain 1 space. Going to put 2 double crochets in that chain 1 space. 1, 2, chain 1, hop over that popcorn, and we're going to popcorn, chain 2, popcorn. Chain 1, okay, hop over that popcorn. In that chain 1 space, we're going to put 2 double crochets. Great. Okay, we are going to see our 4 double crochets right here. We're going to put 1 double crochet on top of the first 3, skip 2, and then put 1 double crochet on top of the next 3. Okay, so the repeating pattern for row 8 is going to now be, you're now going to have 5 double crochets before your popcorn. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5. Then popcorn, chain 2, popcorn, and then 5 double crochets on the other side. 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5. Then skip 2 and repeat. 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5. Popcorn, chain 2, popcorn, and then 2, and then 3, 4, 5. Okay? To gauge that you're making sure you have enough stitches, you are going to continue to have 16 popcorn stitches. You will end with a grand total of 80 double crochets. So there should be 5 on each side of your popcorn stitches. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and so on, making sure it ends with 80 double crochets. Okay? After we finish row 8, I'll explain row 9, explain the repeating pattern on how you continue to grow this more and more and more, and just continue to grow this as big as you want this blanket to be. Okay, so let's finish row 8, And then we'll move on to row 9, where I will explain the repeating pattern for the rest of the blanket. Closing up row 8, we're just going to slip stitch in the second chain. So 1, 2, slip stitch. Okay, closed off row 8. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the repeating pattern that's going to just help you to continue to grow this blanket. At the beginning of every single row, you're going to slip stitch into the top of the next stitch. Okay, every single row, you're going to slip stitch into the top of the next stitch and chain 2. 1, 2. Okay, so down here, there was 1 double crochet right next to your popcorn, and then 2 double crochet next to your popcorn, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5. So as you expand your blanket, you're always going to expand the number of double crochets next to your popcorns. So for this row, there's going to be 6 double crochet next to the popcorn, and then 7 double crochet next to the popcorn, and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that's how you can really help gauge your row, how many double crochets you should have next to your popcorns. You can literally just go back and say, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I know in this row I need to have 6 double crochets next to my popcorn. Okay, and we always know that right next to the popcorn immediately is that chain 1 space that you put 2 double crochets inside of, and then right after your 2 double crochets, then you start putting 1 double crochet on the top of the last double crochet. And always make sure that you skip the last double crochet on this side and the first double crochet on this side. You want to skip those middle 2 stitches to help form that angled in peak. So that is how you continue on for every single row here on out. So I'm looking at my stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, then that's my chain 1, so putting 2 double crochets in that space. Okay, chain 1 to hop over the popcorn, and in the middle of the 2 popcorn stitches, you're always going to do a popcorn, chain 2 popcorn. Chain 2 and popcorn. Great. Chain 1 to hop over that stitch, and that chain 1 space, putting 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Okay, looking at our double crochets here, I know I'm going to skip that last one. Okay, so skipping you. So that means I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets that I'm putting on top of these previous double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, skipping 1, skipping 2, and continuing on. Well, there you go. I really hope this was helpful. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask in the comments below, or you can contact me on Facebook, Instagram, or my email, which is hookedforhope@gmail.com. This blanket is so beautiful, and after you get a hang of the pattern, you just fly. It just makes up so fast. I hope you love it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me in making the compass blanket. I always love crocheting with you. I hope you had fun. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you with my next video. Bye, guys.